Welcome to Mama's Planted, the podcast where we dig deep, get rooted in Christ, and grow together through all seasons of motherhood. I'm Vanessa, your host, and I'm so excited you're here. Whether you're a new mom, expecting, or caring for little ones, this is your safe space to laugh, cry, and thrive. Each episode will dive into the challenges and joys of raising tiny humans. So grab your coffee, throw on your mom bun, and let's walk this journey together with grace, faith, and a whole lot of fun. Welcome to another episode of Mama's Planted. I'm so happy that you decided to tune into this conversation today, whether you are drinking your coffee on a run, maybe doing some cleaning around the house, or maybe just fell asleep for a nap. Whatever it is, I'm excited that you decided to tune in today and listen to our conversation, because today we are actually going to be talking about all things postpartum and really things that moms want but don't always ask for. So my guest for today is a special friend, Savannah Crow, and I am so happy that you were with me today. She's a wife, she's a girl mom, and she's also the creative director and teaching pastor at her church. So thank you, Savannah, for being here.
Yeah, I'm so glad. Thanks for having me. It is a whirlwind, as you know, being a mother, so I'm excited to be on the podcast today.
Of course. I'm happy that you're here with me too. And today's topic is also a good one. I feel like I'm excited to talk about this, so
yeah,
I hope you are too.
It's serious, but also it needs to be talked about.
Yes, for sure. And I feel like that's often the problem too, is that we don't usually talk about the fourth trimester often enough.
No.
And so when someone like us, who's a new mom, kind of just gets thrown into it, then we're like, oh my goodness, there are so many things that I just didn't even know about, didn't even think about, right. Didn't realize that this was going to be a thing, not be a thing. And so there's just a lot that we can unpack there. But the first thing I really want to talk about, which I often feel like is the true elephant in the room, is that when a mom is freshly postpartum, and I mean, you remember what that's like too. I feel like you just never forget the postpartum season in your life. Whenever a mom is newly postpartum, there are often a lot of times when people want to come over, and the kind of stigma there is that they want to be able to see you, but really they want to be able to hold the baby, hang out with the baby, smell the baby, all the wonderful baby things. But if we're being completely honest here, what are the things that we really need as a mom postpartum?
You know, when I was looking over these questions and I saw that one, I laughed out loud, because I remember, like, when you're a first-time mom and you're pregnant, like, people are just so caring towards you and very, like, at least in my experience, like, they're like, what do you need? Like, oh my gosh, like, don't do this. I'm like, and they're very there for you. But the minute you have the baby, you're kind of like chopped liver. Like, you're kind of almost forgotten, because there's this, like, beautiful little newborn that is just so precious. I mean, how could you not? But also, you're kind of like, hello, like, that's that time that you're the most vulnerable, and you're like, especially for your first kid, you're figuring out, what am I doing this right? And then there's all these people that are like looking at the baby, but you almost feel forgotten. And I think that was a little bit of my experience when I had my daughter Sophia. We came home and it was beautiful and it was amazing, and my community was amazing. Like, I had a lot of people that showed up for us, but I remember, like, almost feeling jealous, which is crazy to say out loud, of a newborn baby, because of the attention and care that my daughter got, which I think she deserves, you know, but it was like, there's this expectation for 9 months of people, like, fawning over you, making sure you're good. Are you eating enough? You're drinking enough water? Don't pick that up. It's too heavy, you know. Have my seat. Like, people are very, you know, with pregnant women. And then it's kind of like you're dropped off the face of the earth once you've done what you can do.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me. I think that I was kind of like, whoa, you know, I was almost like, what about me? You know?
Yeah.
And I think that was hard for me to wrap my head around a little bit too, that, you know, when a new baby comes through, you kind of forget that the mom also needs as much care.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. I mean, you nailed it right on the head. It's this sense of jealousy, but then you feel weird saying that because it's your
Yeah,
kid.
like,
So,
can I be jealous? It's
right,
weird.
right.
Yeah,
It's completely weird, but also completely normal at the same time. Like it's
right.
okay for us to feel human. And I had to remind myself constantly of that. Like, okay, Vanessa, you need to remember that you're also human too. You have feelings,
Yeah.
you have wants, you have needs. And if I'm being honest, in the freshly postpartum, like I'm thinking about the first couple of days after we came home with my first son and then my second son, like it just felt like a very vulnerable time. And I just had to keep telling myself it's okay to have these needs, but it almost feels like those needs aren't being met in the way that I want them to be met. And why can't I feel like I can talk about this with
Right.
someone?
Totally.
Because this internal pressure of motherhood, I feel like I have to have it all together and I can't ask for help. Not that anyone is telling me not to do that, but just that
Sure.
internal pressure. And then also, even externally, sometimes too, I think just the stigma of motherhood makes it seem like if you want to be the true super mom, then you just have to do it all by yourself, which
Right. Which
is
is ridiculous.
and not the case at all.
No, not the case at
No.
all. I mean, the average person in your community really does want to help you. And I think there's something about, I don't know, I feel like every mom I've had this where you feel guilt. You feel like you're not doing enough. And you put this pressure on yourself that no one is even putting it on you, and 9 out of 10 times. And I always ask God, like, is this how you've wired us? Like, you know, you kind of am like, what is the purpose of this?
Yeah.
Of this nurturing caretaker spirit that God has given us. But I don't also think God gives us shame. And so some of that is really having to stay grounded and knowing, like, it's okay for you to want something for yourself, and that's not selfish. You know, I think being a mother is the most selfless thing you can do. So, like, you give yourself up, you give your body, you lay yourself, like, you're not your own anymore. And it's so beautiful and hard, and I feel like, how can you describe it? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's hard to describe to someone unless they've been in that same position too, and I'm finding that more and more often when I'm talking to other moms or even when I'm talking to people who want to be moms or are trying to be moms, and I'm like, yeah, I don't I wish I could put into words what it feels like and how it feels like, especially in the postpartum season, but
Yeah.
it's so hard and difficult to describe. And also, everyone's postpartum journey probably looks different too,
So different.
as far as like what
Right.
you're going through, and then even your community, what that looks like too.
Totally. I mean, my family lives in Florida, so I
Yeah.
was totally away from my, you know, my village in that sense. But thankfully, my husband's family live here locally, and I have an incredible mother-in-law who is just really caring and showed up really well. But I feel for those who don't have any family near them, and they kind of have to create their own village around them. And it's hard. It's isolating. And even when you do have your village, it is really hard to, like you said, ask for help, or even know, like, or how do I identify what I even need help with? Because for me, when I was the first couple weeks with being postpartum, I'm like, I'm in a diaper, first of all. I mean, can we say this? Can we all just
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
your body is like, what is happening? Like, I'm crying, the
Right.
baby's crying, and my husband is like, well, what do I do? There are 2 girls in my house wearing diapers. So we're like, you know, trying
And
to
one of
figure out
them
our
is my
life.
wife. What?
Yeah, one of them is very sexy. But I think you're just like, how do I even ask for help? And especially with your first kid, you don't know what you don't know. And one of the things, if I could just, you know, have anyone listening to hear this is that it's okay that you don't know. And also, please don't be chronically online all the time looking for answers, because, you know, I am a natural investigator and very, if you're into the Enneagram, I'm on the level 6, which is like the more anxious type of person, I guess you would say. And so I would be like looking, is this normal? Is this right? And of course it's like at 3 a.m. Why am I Googling? And it's like Google saying like they're dead, you know, like they're like nothing's good. And you're like, everything's the worst. So my husband, thankfully, has the wisdom of the Lord, was like, let's not look up stuff anymore. How about I be your filter? And so I would recommend even doing that for people, of like, find your safe person to look it up. And my husband, Tristan, would filter knowing, should he tell me this or not? And then I would just trust him. And also, I got really good advice from women above me, women of faith who had been mothers for so long, that there's a sense of, you can find all the answers online, but there's also a part that God has designed you as a mother, and he will give you and equip you with the right tools to raise your child. And so trusting in God with your kid is the best thing you can do. And that is a challenge for me continually and constantly, because I want control. I want to be able to know what's happening. I want to make sure everything's like this. No one's mean to her. She's going to eat enough. She's going to do this. She's going to soar her wings. She's going to know God. She's going to know how to pray. You know, it can feel very overwhelming. And I had a moment, and probably a good cry, where I realized I can't do it on my own. I know this. You know, you and I know this, Vanessa. We know this. You know, but it's different when it's your child, and you're like, oh my gosh. And then my whole theology just like blows up, because I'm like, how much more does God love us, right? And that wrecked me too as a believer, and knowing God, of once you had your child, my relationship with God changed in a really beautiful way.
That is something I continue talking about to this day, and I think I will just continue talking about it, and I talk about it with Dom all the time, because that unconditional love of the Father is, oh my goodness, it is just eyes open. Yeah, it is completely unreal. And you and I have been in ministry for a very long time at this point, so we have understood that at a different level. But then when we started having kids, it's like, whoa, no, this is a newfound love and a newfound joy I just found in my walk with Christ. And it's so beautiful. And you know what, if we're being honest, like, we understand that and we get that, but sometimes in that postpartum season, it can be hard to remember that. And
it can be so hard.
Yeah. And especially with just our hormones trying to get back to where they were before. And then, like you said, we're still recovering. I mean, I know that they say that 6 weeks is the recovery process. Like, the first time around, it took me the full 6 weeks to recover. And then even the second time around, I feel like it took me a little bit longer. So I didn't have that, what I felt like was supposed to be that bounce back type of...
Which, whatever that means.
I don't know what that means either, but it's out there. And so people know that that's a thing. You know, you're supposed to just be able to bounce back after having kids, but it didn't feel that way for me mentally and physically. I had to keep pushing through the recovery process on both sides of it. And I did have a lot of baby blues with my oldest, like the first time around. So that was also kind of that process as well. And it's not like anything was wrong. It just was like all the hormones and just crying and all the worrying. And just like you said, wanting to be in control of everything. I felt that a lot too. And I had to let a lot of that go, and still do to this day, even as my kids continue to get older. Something I want to talk about too is when we're talking about things that postpartum moms need, what about in the practical, physical sense can they provide for us, like freshly postpartum, like someone to come over and maybe do some laundry?
Yeah, I mean, I will take that, and I'll do it right now. Someone come over right now, I'll be good. We're good. I'll even slip you a 20. I don't even care.
Right.
I think that one of my good friends, she started a meal train for me, which I've seen that, on Facebook. It's a very Facebook thing, but I've seen it around town, and I didn't realize how beautiful and amazing it is, and it's just such a really cool thing. So they even set up, like, there's a website that makes it so easy. It's like mealtrain.org or something.
Yeah.
And she put instructions. She's like, just drop it off. Don't come inside. This is not a walk-in, which, to me, bless. My husband and I are more introverted in general, and so, like, the idea of small talk while I'm also, like, trying to learn how to breastfeed my child is the worst nightmare ever. It was just so awesome. We had probably for about 2.5 weeks meals just like coming every day for nighttime, and we had freezer stashes and things like that. It was so awesome. That is such a great thing you can do for somebody. That's so easy that you can rally other community, and you would be surprised people who sign up for it. I had people, and I work at a church, so like our network is pretty big in that sense, but I even had people that, parents of students that I am a pastor of that I have never even fully talked to that just dropped off stuff, and it was so sweet. And they also just dropped off gift cards too, because, that's the best thing ever. DoorDash gift cards,
yes,
that will go a long way, because nobody wants to pay tax. Nobody wants to pay the tax fee or the tip fee on DoorDash, but you do it anyway because you're hungry. But that was a blessing. I didn't have, they talk about you wanting to clean too. I forget what it's called, when you're wanting to, like, the nesting stage.
Oh,
when you're
yeah.
pregnant. And I was like, it hasn't hit me. I don't feel the need. And then the week before I gave birth, I was like, it has to happen. I felt unreasonable probably with my husband. I was like, the garage needs to be cleaned. And my husband was like, why? But that's what I wanted, and so he got a couple of people, and they just, like, cleaned out our garage, and it made me feel so much better. Why? I don't know, but it made me feel really good. But the cleaning is really awesome, meals, and then I think for emotional support, I had friends who would text me and check in, and not even, like, they wouldn't even ask how my baby is. They asked how I was, which I think was really special to me, because a lot of people are asking, how's the baby doing? How is she feeling? What is she like, And when I had those people asking, but how are you? And a lot of times it was mothers, my young mom friends who kind of knew. And so it was nice to be able to just, like, word vomit over text or send a voice memo to be like, I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm freaking out. This child is, like, crying. For why? I have no idea, and so am I. Or, like, when my husband went back to work, we were blessed with him getting a month of paternity leave off of work, and it was amazing. We were in this little bubble, but then once he left, that was when it felt really real to me, where I was like, I'm alone with this child who's mine. And that's when I really needed my community to show up, and they would just come and hold my baby so I could go nap or take a shower. Oh my gosh, that was amazing. Not having to worry about, am I hearing phantom cries like you hear the baby while you're doing stuff? You forget about those things, but it's real.
Yeah, it's so real. I know that for me too, that, having the community to kind of come over and take some of that stress or worry away from you was such a huge help postpartum. Right. And because I felt like I couldn't really ask for it, the fact that they just kind of stepped in and did it is what made all the difference, I feel like, because if I look back on it now, I might not have had that help if it was up to me to ask for it because of that pressure that we put on ourselves, even as a new mom, when we have no idea what we're doing and we're doing all of this for the first time. You're looking at your husband and you're like, what are we supposed to do? And he's like, I don't know. This is my first time too, So you're figuring this out together. And I can think back on a couple friends, but the one friend I'm thinking about is, her name is Summer. And every time she came over, and she came over several times, and it was never a, can I hold the baby? Can I hold the baby? Can I, it was always a, what do you need help with today? And one time I just started crying when she asked me that question, because I was like, I honestly don't even know where to start. There are so many things that have to be done around here. Right. And she just I didn't even have to really give her an answer. She just knew, and she started doing the dishes, and then she was like, would you rather me to go and get you some groceries or some lunch, or do you want that alone time to do that yourself? And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I'd like that alone time to do
Yeah. You
that
were like, I never
myself.
knew I would love going grocery shopping by myself, but it's a thing.
Yes.
So,
Yes. And I was like, I will go and get myself lunch and then go and get groceries and I will come right back. And she was like,
right.
take all the time that you need. I'm here. I'll, put the baby down for a nap. And at that point, I was kind of nervous because this was for Kaleo, my oldest, and he was not a good sleeper at that point. And I was like, well, I don't know what he's going to do, if he's going to be crying. Like, you have to try and put him down like this. And she's like, Vanessa, go. I got
Yeah.
this. It's
You're
okay.
like, I'll
And
figure it out.
yeah, and she's a mom too, so
Yeah.
she gets it. But those conversations, those moments are things that truly I will never forget because they were monumental to me in the postpartum season, and even now when I think back on it, like
Right.
that is true community.
Yeah.
And
It is true.
yeah.
And I think it's also like I can't talk about my postpartum without talking about my husband because I one of the things I dealt with too was not feeling like I was nurturing enough or that I was doing the right thing with a newborn. And for some reason my husband was really good like of understanding my daughter's cues and things like that. And there was a part of me that felt like I'm the mom, like I'm supposed to know this. I'm supposed to know and be good or like be able to like understand the baby or be able to, withhold the crying and all these things and my husband like broke through the wall of probably old stereotypes. Thankfully that, fathers aren't like that anymore. Most of them aren't. But he just was like very attentive to my needs, to our daughter's needs, and it didn't make me feel guilty. It made me feel seen. And I think it's so important for women when their husband to step into those roles too of caring for you and obviously your child. But he was like, I mean, I'll brag on him a little bit, but like this man, I probably didn't clean a diaper for 3 weeks after she was born. Like he was like, I'll do it. It's okay. I'll figure it out. Like, he was like, you've got enough going on with your own self, and he was just like wanting to at least take some stuff away. I don't think I cleaned the dish. Like I just was like a vegetable on the couch that was like a milk machine for the first couple weeks, just trying to figure out and nursing, if that's a path that you choose to take, which is what I did. It was hard figuring out that too. Like nursing is a whole other beast that you have to figure out. But my husband, I feel like really helped me not fall off the full edge of postpartum depression and was able to like do the little things that really meant the big things for me. And so I feel like having a partner and a husband who can do that for you is really, really important.
I agree with that completely. Also, just shout out to our husbands for just
Shout out.
being there while we are at our most vulnerable state of mind and
Right.
physically as well.
Yeah.
My husband would listen to me when I had those baby blues, just cry. And most of the time I had no idea why I was crying. There wasn't a reason for it, but I just would, and he would just hold me. And it made me feel so secure and
Yeah.
safe to just know that I wasn't alone, even though I was having those doubts of isolation. If you could go back and tell yourself one thing postpartum, what would it be?
That's a hard question.
Yeah.
I feel like I would tell Sav that one, you don't have to hold it all. It's not all on your shoulders. And that, like, the pathway of which God will direct you is so sweet. I think freshly postpartum Sav just needed to know that, like, God's hand was on her. And I knew that, like, you know that. it's kind of like built into our DNA too, like in ministry, like, but in those moments, you feel your hormones, your emotions, who am I now? Like, now my life is completely changed. Like, these things are running through your mind all the time. And like, so it's exhausting. And I just wanted to rest. And I think I would tell myself, like, you can rest with God. He doesn't see you as mother. He doesn't see what you can do for your child. He doesn't see you for, all those things. He just sees you as his daughter. And I think I would like calmly approach postpartum Sav, just sit with her and put some worship music on and just remind her there's nothing you can or can't do that's gonna take it away, so you can just rest in that. And I think that would have gave me a little bit more peace, because you're trying to solve all the world's problems when you're freshly postpartum.
Yeah, I love that beautiful picture that you just painted. I would also tell myself freshly postpartum that, God chose you to be the mom for these boys. Mm-hmm. And that means that he is going to fill in the gap in every single area that you feel like you are not enough, or feel like you're not doing enough, not saying enough, not nurturing enough.
Right.
Whatever I was kind of feeling at the time. And
sure.
It was a lot of back and forth, right? All the emotions all over the place. Maybe some days I would feel okay, but other days I would just truly break down and, like you said, not know who I was. But once we get down to the root of it and the core of it, we are first a child of God. So to remind myself of that same notion, I feel like would really allow me to just breathe easier.
Yeah, it would. And I wish we could, but I mean, I'm so grateful you're even talking about this, because I just feel like nobody does talk about the fourth trimester, right? Nobody talks about all the insecurities that can come postpartum, the bounce back culture, which I'm like, forget that,
Yeah.
I don't want to be the same.
Yeah.
I shouldn't be. Like, why should I go back to who I was? That would be weird. Like, let's be honest. You carried for 9 months, you grew fingernails, bones, organs, hearts. Then you had this crazy delivery, or you had a surgery. And then you have this whole new life that you're figuring out. Why would you be the same? And I can't. And of course I deal with insecurities. Sometimes you look at yourself and your body, I wish, but half the time, like, I'm reminded, one, I did that.
Yeah.
And two, I'm a bad mama jama still, so who cares, but I don't want to be the same. I don't want to go back. My life is better, and I'm changed. I'm a better wife now. I'm a better, I think, person in my job, because of becoming a mom. And I don't want to bounce back. I want to move forward. And so I want to cancel bounce back. You know what I mean?
Let's cancel that culture of bounce back.
Yeah, let's do it.
I love that. As you were just talking now, I was also thinking about Ecclesiastes 3 and how there is a time for everything.
Right.
There's a time for peace. There's a time to mourn. There's a time to do whatever it is that we have to do under the sun, but there's also a time to rest.
Right.
And we tend to forget some of these things postpartum, again, maybe because of some of the internal or external pressures that we put on ourselves or others have put on us. But I feel like as long as we cling on to who we know God is and who he has called us as a child of God first, it will allow us to become the mom that we need to be for our kids. And like you said, it will help us to become a better person overall.
Right.
I absolutely do not want to be the same person I was before having kids. Absolutely not. I don't even know her anymore.
Who is she?
Who?
She can't come to the phone. That's fine.
No. No. And I believe that that's the reason why God tells us to have kids, is to be fruitful and multiply. And that is one of the ultimate reasons why, so that we can truly become the person that he has called us to be. And it's beautiful. And even though the postpartum season can be rough, it's still just a season.
Yeah. And as my husband and I are thinking about when we want to have a second kid, it's crazy because I feel like God designed women this way too, where you almost forget what it was like. And that's why you just have more kids.
Yeah.
But it's like, as we're talking about this, I'm getting flashbacks of remembering what it is and things like that. But, invest in a good pair of pajamas is all I'm going to say. Cozy clothes, get some slippers, like just lean into being a homebody for a little bit,
Yeah, I love that. Have a ton of water around you, body armor.
Stay hydrated.
Yeah.
Yep. Snacks. I was so hungry postpartum.
Yeah.
Because when I was nursing, I was just like burning through so many calories, but I just couldn't believe how much food I had to eat. I felt like I was training for some sport, which you kind of are, Yeah. You're training.
Yeah. But it's a completely new thing, and your body is also adjusting to it too. So, yeah. Well, thank you, Sav, for talking with me today. I can't thank you enough. I've enjoyed this conversation that we've had together, and I'm so glad that we were able to talk about it, because it's not something that gets shared or talked about often enough, because it kind of is the silent season of your life, the 4th trimester postpartum life. But I'm glad that we're bringing this to the surface, bringing this to the light, because it absolutely is something that new moms may not want to hear, but need to hear. So thank you.
Thanks so much. I think just for all the moms who are watching that are freshly postpartum or about to be, stay offline, lean into your community, ask for help, or find someone, tell your husband to ask for help if you don't want to. Like, you all both need it. So, but, and just trust God that his hand is on you and that you can just rest in him, and it's going to be okay. Like you said, Vanessa, it's just a season, and it's a sweet season when you look back on it.
Absolutely.
And you'll miss some of those moments. So.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining in our conversation today and listening to our postpartum talk, the just real things that moms need to and want to hear as well. I appreciate you listening. If this episode has blessed you in any way, please feel free to like, comment, subscribe, share it with a friend, and hopefully they can get something out of this as well. We will see you next time. Thanks for joining me today on the Mamas Planted podcast. I hope you found a little inspiration to help you grow in your motherhood journey. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend and help us spread the word. And don't forget to follow us on social media for encouragement and updates. You can find us on Instagram at Mamas Planted. Until next time, keep planting those seeds of faith and watch them grow.